You know when you just feel that not everything's going to go right? Well, I've tested this live stream so many times and lo and behold, it still didn't work. But we're sort of back. We are back. I hope you're still here to join us. I did see a few messages in the chat. So yes, the last time we were live was at Lightwater Valley itself, and indeed outside the Ultimate roller coaster, which has been closed for the past couple of years. Now then, at the time, I have to say, we were a bit unsure, to be honest. I was actually more in the boat that I thought the Ultimate would reopen, because I can't see Lightwater Valley without the Ultimate. However, it has been announced that the Ultimate will not be reopening, which is really, really sad, to be honest with you. So the Ultimate opened early 90s. It was, when it opened, the longest roller coaster in the world, and still remains the second longest roller coaster in the world and the longest roller coaster in Europe. So it's a real shame that we've actually lost it. Now, it's quite impressive that, you know, Lightwater Valley kept the Ultimate going as long as they did, to be honest with you, because it's there's no doubt about the fact that it's not been the best. I think is probably the best term to say it. The maintenance on it is massive. It's undoubtedly massive, and that's mainly because of the sheer force that the trains put on, particularly around the second half of the ride. Now, anyone that rode the Ultimate will probably have a Marmite feel about it. Some will say, actually, you know, this is all right, and some will say, actually, it wasn't all right. It was actually a bit rubbish, to be honest with you. And it does divide opinion, and I understand that it divides opinion. For me, I absolutely loved the ride. I thought the Ultimate was an incredible coaster that is unique. It's not something I've ridden anywhere else, certainly in the UK, and it's not really something you're ever going to ride where, you know, you get a double lift hill, a 7-minute ride over 1.5 miles long. Yeah, sure, the second lift hill was a bit of a break-up, but the first half was so relaxing, so calm. You know, it just, yeah, was really, really different. And then the second half just went absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Insane. The ride was insane. Now then, the upkeep of this ride, as we know, has been difficult, and we know Lightwater Valley struggled, particularly during COVID time, with the Ultimate last being open in 2019. Paulo, welcome to the chat. I don't know if you were here first time. It all went wrong first time. So far, so good on this one. We're talking about the Ultimate first, and then we're going to be talking about the Cursor Alton Manor, the brand new ride for 2023. Now then, it is a bit of a shame with the Ultimate, and it leaves Lightwater Valley in a predicament where they want to go down the family route. Now, as we've seen with family parks in the past, it doesn't always work. It's fair to say that Southport, up in Cleethorpes, the Pleasureland there, when it went completely family route, just keeping hold of the one coaster, it didn't really work, to be honest with you. There were 4D cinemas, there's a few more shows, and whilst they still had a few thrill rides coming in, they weren't particularly good ones. It didn't work for them. I think it's fair to say, in honesty, it didn't work for Chessington either. Chessington sort of started scrapping some of their big rides, Rodeo, Samurai, and really went down the children's route, and it really affected them, and it's now only now that they're starting to come back. Other parks have closed. American Adventure would come to mind. That's now closed. That did exactly the same, started removing some of the big rides. So I don't know. How do we feel? How do we feel this will work? I don't know. Let me just see if Kurt is actually around for this. I don't know how it's going to work for Lightwater Valley. As I said, we did have one of our best days out in 2022 at Lightwater Valley last year. We visited a lot of places last year as well. We visited a lot of places. And that was without the Ultimate. Now, Eagle's Claw for me is an absolute must. It was kind of one of the main reasons that we went to the park, to be honest with you, but also the fact that Treetop Adventure was now included in the ticket. And the Treetop Adventure was one of the most fun things we did last year. It really, really was. So yeah, Ultimate. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the Ultimate? Crispy, welcome to the. Oh, there we go. Look, if I scroll down, I can see everyone. Welcome to the live stream. At the moment, fingers crossed, we are working. Second time lucky, and hopefully the quality is a lot better than what it normally is when we do these. But yeah, the Ultimate. What do we think? So Lightwater Valley is now owned by Brighton Pier. Brighton Pier, of course, bought Lightwater Valley just coming out of the pandemic. There was a bit of touch and go whether or not Lightwater Valley would make it. And Lightwater Valley is a beautiful park. However, a lot of the rides, big rides, were stripped out. Black Pearl, Raptor Attack, which arguably is a family ride, which is now operating in America, looks fantastic out there as well. It's been really sort of well done and well taken care of. And of course, the Ultimate closure, as well as, it just a little bit lackluster. Apollo went. Yeah, I don't know. Now we've heard the rumour that the log flume from Brighton Pier will be heading to Lightwater Valley to sort of bolster their ride offering for 2023. Nothing's been announced by either park yet. The log flume is still listed on Brighton Pier's site. Of course, Brighton Pier is open 365 days a year. I haven't been along there to see whether or not it's actually open and operational. Anyone in Brighton, let us know. However, that is the rumour. They brought in a few temporary rides with the Twister and the Dodgems, and we have to say the Dodgems were the best one that we rode last year. We visited again a lot of fairs. We did Dodgems that weren't on camera. I don't always believe in doing everything on camera. And undoubtedly, they were the best Dodgems we experienced. In fact, the best Dodgems I've ever been on. And I know the park don't own them. I actually don't know who they were. Twister was good as well, which was bought in. So yeah, the rides that have been bought in might be quite temporary, but they were actually quite good. What will Brighton Pier do? Well, Brighton Pier is sort of caters for everyone. They've got the obviously had the country's first air race down there. Jumping Frogs might go well at Lightwater Valley. If I'd have said that this time last year, you'd have gone, don't turn it into a fairground. However, obviously Chesington are installing one this year. So it makes it interesting now that it will probably be acceptable for them to go across parks, providing maybe they're themed in a bit more. Now, the work that Lightwater Valley did on their new Africa area actually was very, very good. It looked really nice when we went down there. If you haven't watched the vlog, go back and watch the vlog and it will just give you an idea of where the park are at. They still have the breakdance ride, they still have Eagle's Claw, which is the best afterburner swing ride I've ever been on, full stop, and I've always said that long before anything else has come along. I've always proclaimed that as being the best. Coaster Nick, hello, thank you for joining us. And of course the wave swinger, and again it's the best wave swing we've been on. It's quite hard that when the best Dodgems, the best wave swing and the best afterburner that I've ever been on are all at Lightwater Valley, and we're saying that Lightwater Valley is aimed at kids. I don't know, I don't think it is aimed at kids. I think they're transitioned to kids, bearing in mind all of those rides are 1.2 and above. Probably isn't there quite yet. However, they are going to need a roller coaster. There is no doubt about that. The Ladybird and a standard Caterpillar is not going to suffice, even as a family park. We see family parks this year opening, inverted B&Ms. So there needs to be a slight change. Now, obviously, Legoland are going to be opening a boomerang coaster. That would be perfect for them. But of course, I don't think that Brighton Pier have the capital to put one of these into Lightwater Valley. Now, the log flume, if it goes there, will be perfect for them. It really will. They lost the Rapids ride. That was sold back to Mellors. So it will be perfect for them if they manage to do that. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think in the comments? Let us know in the comments. What do you think of the Ultimate closing? I have to say, I'm gutted. I did genuinely think that they would try and get it open again, but I can kind of understand the cost involved, and I can kind of understand that it probably isn't going to be worth it in the long run. Now then, Ultimate aside, we wanted to start with the Ultimate, as I said, because our last live stream was from Lightwater Valley, unbelievably outside the Ultimate. We need to move on to new news, which is the curse at Alton Manor. Now, of course, Alton Towers usually wait till January to announce their new attractions for this year, not to kind of, coincide with the Christmas period, but no one's really listening. And we saw the closure of Duel back in September. Duel, and we've said it, has been looking horrendous for years. And we've said for years, anyone that goes back and watches our vlogs, we've said for years that Duel was one that never, what's the word? It never needed guns. So Tomb Blaster, I actually think works better with guns than what Duel did. It's a shame. I tell you what, Costa Nick, it's a real shame you didn't get to ride it. And when we put our poll up, actually, only 50% of people have got to ride the Ultimate. I think it's one of those parks you were either lucky enough to visit or you wasn't on your radar. Louis, evening. Thank you for joining us here. Please remember to like. Please remember to drop us a like. And yeah, the Curse of Alton Manor is an interesting one because it's going to go back. I don't even think it's going to go back to its roots. I think it's going to be a completely new experience. Now, some people have said they think the guns are going. Well, the guns are definitely going. You can look at the artwork. The artwork will be back in the thumbnail. The artwork has everyone holding on for dear life. So they're obviously not holding on for dear life whilst shooting a gun. The guns are definitely going. The guns will be leaving the ghost train. It's as simple as that. And the press statement is very, very interesting because Alton Towers have said that this is going to be the resort's most immersive dark ride, which is a brave statement because I really get in the moment with Hex. I think Hex, turn the music up, is absolutely brilliant. Harry, welcome. There's been a lot of set piece from the original Haunted House which has been ripped out. Yeah, I can't confirm what's been ripped out, but you're right. There are some, the Haunted House when it opened in 1992, and I was really, really lucky because I went to the opening of the Haunted House literally a week after it opened in 1992, and I remember being terrified on it, absolutely terrified. And I would have been 11. It's probably about the age they're looking for. These days, obviously, things have changed and gone on, and it will be interesting to see whether or not Alton Towers sell anything from there. I don't know. What do we think? Do we think they will? Do we think they won't? I hope they haven't broken it all. I really do. But this apparently will be their most immersive ride. And, in terms of dark rides, obviously, they also have David Williams, which I think will be staying around for a bit more, given his controversy. Adam, hi, thank you for joining us. And of course, Hex. And I think it's going to take some doing to beat Hex. So of course, it's going to be their most immersive dark ride to date. And it's going to give, and they've let off that it's going to be an eerie theme. And the eerie theme makes perfect sense. They're not going to go for blood and gore. It's not family related. And quite honestly, it's not needed. Because if you have a blood and gore ghost train, if you will, we'll call it ghost train, it's not going to work because they have Scarefest, and it's not going to be all right. Adam, Davey, thank you very much. I'm really pleased you like the vlogs. Thank you very much for joining us. Yeah, we're all right at the moment. I haven't seen the drone footage yet of the Haunted House. I've seen quite a lot of Nemesis. That's quite interesting. We're not going to touch on that today. And it is a bit of a shame. Hopefully they don't kill it all. Hopefully some of the original Haunted House props can remain, because I do think the theme inside of the Haunted House Duel was actually really good. It just kind of lost its way with the guns, the lighting, and it lacked a story. So I think the Curse of Alton Manor, in fact, I know the Curse of Alton Manor is unbelievably going to be story driven. I don't think there's any doubt about that whatsoever. Adam, we will be planning fairs this year. Don't you worry. We get up and down the country with fairs. We're going to be starting in Scotland, unbelievably, this year by the looks of things. So yeah, the information is it's going to be a hair-raising journey through a spectacular twist in terms of the Cursed Manor. The creators have said they found new ways to surprise fans with special effects and visuals that haven't been seen in UK theme parks before. Now then, let me just touch on this. We don't really have any good ghost trains in the UK. So I don't know how difficult this is gonna be for them to pull off, to be honest with you. But it is nice that it's going to be something different. When I think of immersive dark rides outside of Hex, to be honest with you, I can't really include rides like Gruffalo. I don't really think we can include, Blackpool with the Ghost Train. Perhaps Wallace and Gromit follows a nice story. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it does follow a nice story. And even Alice in Wonderland sort of does as well. So yeah, what will it bring? I expect to see some projections. I expect to see some dramatic lighting. I expect to see new streams, 100%. And I expect to see something that's going to be scary but fun at the same time. I don't think it's not going to be aimed at children. It's not going to be aimed solely at adults. It is going to fit the family market. You know, you see Toon Blaster, you see people take 4-year-olds on there who come off crying. You see some people take 4-year-olds on there that come off laughing and smiling. And that's where it's going to be sitting. The props wise, they have some lovely props in there. It will be really interesting to see what they're going to do. Hopefully they don't just replace it with a large doll, but I do have a feeling the doll's house is going to be sort of the theme of it. I expect the outside grave and shooter person, I expect that to be completely removed, to be honest with you. And indeed, the car's possibly rethemed as well. We will be doing funfair vlogs this year, Adam. Of course, we did more last year than we'd ever done, and we got to more locations. So whilst we actually did more local fairs around here, we don't film every single fair. If it's sort of the same rides and things, we vary the content that goes onto the channel. But as I said, hopefully we'll be starting up north and we'll be working our way back. Strange things have happened because we can barely get a live stream to work, to be honest with you. But what do we think? What do we think of Alton Towers, and what do we think of the curse at Alton Manor? It's good to see the park are taking a completely different direction in it, rather than just going, here's a haunted house. And I think it's a good move that it's clearly going back to story. Louis, what part of the ride would we like them to keep? You know what, I think some of the earlier scenes, some of the scenes where it looks like it's going through a manor with the big stained glass windows, for me, would still work. I think as the ride goes on, possibly past sort of the toilet scene, and then you go around to, you know, probably the second third of the ride, doesn't work at all. I don't think it was very much a case of throw as much as you can in there, throw as many targets as you can in there, throw as many shooting items as you can in there, throw as many lights and stupid ultraviolets in there as you possibly can. And I just think once you got past a certain point in the ride, it just didn't work. I don't really want to see the jump scare ghosts pop out the side. I don't think it's going to be necessary now we're not shooting them. But I think the stained glass windows were brilliant. I genuinely think they're brilliant. And I think even the slow scene, which was the graveyard, I never been a massive fan of the graveyard, to be honest with you. Never been a huge fan of that. I always thought it was a bit too open. I didn't think there was quite enough detail in there. So yeah, early parts of the ride I actually think start off really well for Haunted House and Duel, and they did have some fantastic models in there. But of course, as we know, when Merlin changed these rides, you just got to look at Bubble Works to Gruffalo, or even Bubble Works to Imperial level Bubble Works, you do lose some of the massive props that we're sort of used to, which is a real shame. But fingers crossed, they do keep some. And whilst I do expect some to go, because they are now, obviously, the other thing is as well, they're not just saying, well, we're tarting this up to you know, return it to the haunted house. Alton Towers are very much going down the line of, this is a UK first, which is kind of expected, UK first effect ride. So yeah, I'm kind of guessing that they're advertising it as a new ride, so we're going to get mainly new ones. But yeah, spiders, I'm all right with the spider one. But yeah, certainly the Grand Hall. I think the Grand Hall was fantastic, the way that's laid out. Again, I'd like to see some more detail, because and I've always said this, where Wallace and Gromit works for me is it takes you from scene to scene and blacks you out in the middle. I know people don't like Wallace and Gromit, but I love it. I love it. But it takes you from scene to scene and blacks out in the middle, completely blacks you out in the middle. Whereas Duel, and I don't think the haunted house was quite as guilty as this, but where Duel very much sort of, it's one long stream and then you kind of like, I'm not really sure, there's no dark moments. So I'd like to see you, you know, go around the corner in pitch black, enter a magnificent hall. The hall, you know, could do with a little bit more, you know, blackout, and then maybe enter something else. I don't know whether or not we'll see spiders. I don't know, mainly because I would see it's going to be, I don't know whether you class that as an outdoor thing or not. Tony, hi, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us today. A lot of people have said the Alton curse and the old oak tree, obviously the person that died from it. It would be interesting to see if they link it to something already. I don't know. I don't know whether they will. I imagine the storyline is going to be around the doll's house. That would be my guess. And I imagine that, it's going to somehow link back to the original haunted house without it being the haunted house. It's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. I do believe it'll open with the park in March. They've got Nemesis shut this year. I think a lot of people were sort of expecting Nemesis Subterra to come back this year, but that seems to have gone very, very quiet. It does look like we're going to get Enterprise back. Sadly, the retro rides will be back. I'm not a fan of the retro rides. I'm really not a fan of the retro rides. I think maybe they served a purpose for the first year, but I do think Alton Towers should invest in them. And we are going to be expecting back with the retro rides as well. Obviously the Super Trooper has stayed on site because that's owned by PWS. It didn't need to travel anywhere. It didn't need to go to a fair or anything. That stayed on site. I would be expecting the Waltz to come back, and from what we've heard, it's going to be a set of jumping frogs down in X Sector, much like Chesington again, but obviously a travelling version. But again, it's quite interesting if you go into SBF for a set of jumping frogs for Chesington. Why would we not go to them and say, well, actually, can we have a nice themed one for X Sector? Because I think they're quite reliable. I think they're quite, they hold quite a lot of people, the 3-seat ones. They can go on a good cycle. They don't have to be too long. You can get your bounce out the way in sort of a minute. I'm a bit surprised they haven't actually taken a plunge, at least on one of these rides. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think they'll restore too much of the indoor queue. I actually think the indoor bit might not change much when you walk in, but I do think they will make you queue now around the graveyard outside and perhaps make that a little bit more relatable to the actual ride. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, live stream today was very much about Ultimate. Please remember to like, please remember to like. We did set this up first and we started with more people, and of course the stream went wrong, but we will be testing it and we will be coming back. In terms of Project Exodus, that is on a further stream. My quick thoughts on it is it won't have a theme. That's my quick thoughts on it, just based on what Thorpe Park have been doing recently and what they say about areas and themes. So I don't believe it will have a theme. I am really, really gutted that the Ultimate will be closing and indeed being dismantled. And the problem is it doesn't seem like there's anyone up in that area. We're 5.5 hours away from Lightwater Valley, so we can't go and look because you can see the Ultimate from the roadside and various areas where it stretches so far. So we're not really seeing any dismantling of that. We don't really know what it looks like. Yeah, real shame. Real shame. And of course, on top of that, we're then excited for Alton Towers. Alton Towers doing something new, bringing life back into a new ride, which was needing. It was needing some life back into it, and I'm really, really pleased the guns are going as well. Really pleased the guns are going. As I said, I think they work at Toon Blaster. I've never thought they worked on Duel. So it will be interesting. But what will be the highlight of 2023 at Alton Towers? Is there something we're missing? Is there going to be another surprise coming in? Is Subterra going to open? I don't know. But I'm looking forward to this one. I like a good ghost train. I like a good haunted ride. And I'm pleased they're not calling it ghost train or even haunted house. I am pleased that it hints that there is going to be a storyline to it and it's going to be sort of turned into everything. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us here. As I said, we want to do a quick live stream to test it out. We didn't work way